Hi, I'm Yasin El Ashrafi from HQ Recording. You're in tune to the Us People podcast.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Us People podcast. I'm your host, Savia, and today I've got Yasin here from HQ Familia, the record label, and also HQ Recording Studios. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, thank you. Thank you for coming on the Us People podcast.
That's all right. Thanks for the invite.
Oh no, you're welcome. You're welcome. Actually, to be quite honest, I think you're one of the nicest people I've got a response from.
Oh, thank you very much. I
Yeah.
try.
So let's get into HQ. You've done a lot of stuff with the Princess Trust, which we just spoke about before we started recording. You've also been working in the music business for over 10 years. I'm sure that's even longer now. So my first question to you, when I was doing my research about you and reading a little bit about HQ, tell me a little bit about the building you're actually in, because that's quite famous as well, isn't it?
Yeah, so the building, it used to be home to 5HQ and Formation Records, which was DJSS. And yeah, Formation Records was massive. Like it's still going now. He's still doing bits, but for Leicester, like 5HQ was a bit of a mecca, you know. Like it was a big part of the rave scene, especially drum and bass, jungle. But you know, it was a record shop. You know, we used to go there, get tickets for raves and flyers to decorate our walls for them. Yeah, it was a great shop. We used to spend, like, when I was, I say, probably 14, 15, I'd go there every week and would be there all day on Saturdays listening to records and playing arcade games and stuff. So I never got to go upstairs and see the studios. So 15 years later, when I was 30, I got the keys.
Yeah.
So it was a bit of a dream come true, to be honest, because I actually said, I put it out there. It's like, if I could have any venue in Leicester, I would want 5HQ, because it had that, I suppose, that feeling attached to it, you know. And
I think you had a connection to it from the first time most probably you saw it.
Yeah, for sure. And it was such a big thing of, like, it was such a big part of our, I suppose, musical journey.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of coming full circle, actually being able to run our business from there.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about the Princess Trust as well. How did you get involved in it?
So Princess Trust, I was invited to be part of a project called Talent Match.
Yeah.
And that was a 5-year project that was funded by the Big Lottery.
Yeah.
The Princess Trust were, like, administering 5 of the funds, like, in 5 different areas. So they were doing the Leicestershire partnership. Through working on that project for 5 years, so I was delivering music provision. I was doing some stuff around, like, we did some stuff on digital profiling. So that was kind of all about, like, online CVs and video CVs, and, you know, kind of trying to help people think of, I suppose, new ways of doing stuff. And the whole project was based. Yeah, for sure. So you got to, suppose, move with the times, you know. Yeah. So, and we know everything is going visual and digital now, you know.
Oh, definitely.
So we're just trying to help, I suppose, equip people, especially people who may come from places where they can't afford computers and, you know, maybe some of the technology.
Surprised, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Sometimes it's hard to realize, you know, if you've got this stuff already. Sometimes you don't realize how expensive maybe it can be, or even hard for certain people to get, just to be able to access the stuff, you know what I mean, in the first place. So we spent 5 years just trying to, I suppose, re-engage and motivate as many people as we could, and then we started kind of then realized that some of the people we were working with were at a level where they needed, like, an introduction into business and how can they monetize their talents, basically, you know. So we started doing the Princess Trust Enterprise projects with. So basically, I'd kind of get them and I'd help them come up with an idea. Then I would send them to the Princess Trust, and then they would kind of give them, you know, a bit more of the like admin side, you know, help them get their UTRs. You know, they'll do a whole, teach them about the tax and, you know, like cash flow forecast and all the kind of technical bits. and then I would help them kind of finish off the business plan and get started. I suppose I was more, the practical support. Okay,
Yeah,
where
no,
can
that I understand that. Yeah.
yeah, so where can we? I think some of it as well, probably even down to just breaking it down into a little bit more into street lingo.
Yeah.
Kind of, because I think a lot of people, especially from the streets, they kind of feel like business maybe, something that they can't do, or it's too
Yeah.
hard, or they can't
I
aspire to
think
it.
I think a lot of people, when anyone who's from the streets would understand this, and I'm sure you do as well, where people have a tendency, if you have a dream, they try and knock your dream down.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And there's not a lot of people like yourself who would say, you know what, you can do this, you can be better, you can help other people, so you can get to where you want to get to, just like what you're doing,
Yeah,
and then help other people. So it's kind of like return the favor in a way. So I'm helping you, please help someone else,
yeah,
kind
that's
of thing. And I
exactly
wish
it.
there was more of that. I wish there was more of that. And I'm happy to meet people like yourself, because it gives other people and listeners who are listening hope that you can do it, regardless of the crisis, regardless of what's going on. You still can do that stepping stone, be positive, optimistic, and just write it down. I think right now is a positive time to do that in a way,
Yeah,
because you're
definitely.
inside.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously, it's for me. It's kind of I bought into it when I was younger. I was how I grew up. I never had a dad, and we was kind of we always grew up on council estates, and we didn't have a lot. And like the I suppose the idea was that people like us would go jail, or we would go into menial work. And to be honest, we kind of, I suppose, that whole self-fulfilling prophecy, we took that on. It's like, well, if
All
this is
right.
what's
Yeah.
expected, we may as well do it.
Okay.
Let's be
Yeah.
gangsters, let's be hustlers, let's be whatever, because we didn't feel like there was any, I suppose, real plan for it. There's no one believed in us. There was no plan for people like us. So we kind of went down that route, and kind of before we knew it, we was in quite deep. And then it's kind of you start looking up the people that you used to look up to, like the elders. You realise they're going and they're doing big stretches in jail, or they're being killed, or there was a lot of stuff, and it's kind of you realise that actually that's
Yeah.
not what we want. When you're young and you see the cars and the money, and they might treat you like, giving you big money to go shop or whatever, and you might get kind of sucked into that. But like I say, as you get older, you start realizing, that the reality of it is it's not all it's cracked up to be. And a lot of these guys end up going crazy, and they're always looking over the shoulders, and kind of realize this is a really murky world. And then I think when I was 26, my first son was born, and that was kind of a real kind of switch in
Transition.
my brain.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like all of a sudden I've gone from, I suppose, no one relying on me. As soon as I've got that, okay, now I'm a dad. I've got someone relying on me forever. This is somebody who I want to be proud of me. Before I weren't really bothered what people thought about me, but as soon as I become a dad, it's like, okay, it's important my kids think of me as somebody that they
A
can be
role
proud of.
model.
Yeah, role
Yeah.
model for sure.
Yeah, definitely. How would you say you got into music? What inspired you to get into the music industry?
It's a weird thing, to be honest. I kind of fell into the music industry. So it was like I've always loved music. Always been around musicians. Like my mom always used to listen to loads of different music, from like literally reggae to pop to just to anything classical. So I've always like had music in my life. But when I was younger, I did a project myself with an arts organisation called Soft Touch Arts.
Okay.
And I did that when I was 15, and I think we did like DJ workshops, MC workshops, and then we put on our own event, we put on a couple of events, and then that was kind of like our first introduction into like the actual music, putting on events, taking it to that next level.
Yeah.
And I basically did it, and then I carried on the route I was on. Excuse me. But a lot of other people, they stayed in. So like I kind of went and had quite like a mad decade, just being a bit of a crazy kid, and just kind of
I think,
chase it.
to be honest, I think we all have it in us at some point. Something will drive us there.
Well,
And we
that's
will just
it.
think, yeah, but you know what? I think that's one of the most beautiful things in a way, because it's kind of like being creative. Even if you're going on a mad tangent,
Mm.
it helps you in a way to understand your creativity within yourself, even if
Well,
other people don't understand it.
well, yeah, and I think everything leads you to where you are as well, because it's like the years I wasted, kind of chasing girls and drugs and parties and stuff. Although it was a waste, obviously it was part of my journey. And then when I kind of realized when I was older, I needed to start my own business. I wanted to do something for myself. Like, I looked around at my friends and okay, these are all now DJs, engineers, producers, promoters, but no one's making any money. So I was always a bit of a middleman, and I kind of always a bit of a hustler. I could buy and sell anything, even like I could go to the shops, buy clothes in sale, and I could then resell them at a higher value. So I always had that. So I was kind of like, okay, so you're all doing music. It's basically a really expensive hobby. Like, if you can't make any money performing it, maybe you can make some money teaching it. And I looked at Leicester and I realised there was no real organisations like that were specific for adults. So I thought, well, if I'm mid-20s, by the time I've kind of found any kind of direction, there must be a whole heap of people in the same position. So I basically went back to Soft Touch, kind of explained to them my idea, and I basically kind of, I suppose, took their model, but just changed it for over 18s, and then put a bit more focus on the money making side, the enterprise side, and like how can you make it into an actual career and monetize it.
Yeah. Well, that makes definitely sense. Tell us a little bit about the studio. So after you got it, I've seen like your website is really good. Everything is on it is really good. It's really planned out. Tell us a little bit about the studio and how it works.
So the studio, we started off when we first got into it. It was just a room, but it was already soundproof. So we was hyped just the fact that it was soundproofed and it had a booth. Yeah. It's like, wow, this is real. So we basically in the beginning we just kind of cobbled a little setup together from bits we could get from wherever, and I think over the years it's just evolved, So the studio's probably completely changed 3 or 4 times, and then last year I took on it was a social investment, so it was part grant, part loan, so that I could kind of. So I decided we got as far as we could possibly get, and I kind of thought, this is, life favors the brave. I was kind of like, we can either stay where we are, happily just plodding along and kind of just getting by, or we can try and take it to the next level. So we got the investment and we completely redid the studio, and we kind of built a second studio, which in a room that used to be the live room that didn't get a lot. So, and then we've also done the downstairs as well. So we've got 3 working studios now, and then we've got a media space as well where we can do like photo shoots and little videos and stuff. So it's been a long, kind of a really long evolution, but it's
worth it.
Yeah, it's like 95% now of like what we want it to be, So it's what I always wanted it to be. Really was like a facility like what you would expect in London, but in Leicester, So people don't have to travel out; they can come to us and get industry standard equipment and recordings and products, basically. So that's what we've done.
If there was one artist you admire that you would like to work in a recording studio with, just you and the artist, who would it be, and why would you choose that particular artist?
You know what? It's a hard one because obviously there's a lot. But I would go with Kano, and just because I've been listening to Kano for years, and consistently, he's got a vibe that comes across in his music, and it's I could just tell we could. it would be a fun process.
We're gonna send this to him, okay? We're gonna send this podcast to him, and hopefully he listens to it and he gets back to you.
Come on, Kano, come down. My studio's banging.
Come on, Kano. If you could choose one quote that represents who you are as a person and what you do, what quote would it be and
why? I think I would probably be something a little bit cheesy, but it would be something along, kind of like believe it and you can achieve it, because
fair enough.
Everything
it's simple.
Yeah,
it's simple. It says
everything
what it
I do is about that. Like everything that I try and pass on is about mindset and belief and confidence, because I feel like once you've got that, everything else will come.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's actually true. If for instance, I know we spoke about Kano just a second ago, and if you were in a studio and you want Kano to work with, but now if you were stuck on a desert island, I'm giving you all the food and water you could ever dream of. Yeah, and you had to have one person who you could sit down and have a conversation with. So it's different from working with someone in music
Okay.
to having a conversation with possibly about anything that you love
So
within
it's not just
music. Would
music
it be?
based now.
It's not just music based, it's someone that you can actually sit down, have a conversation with, and
I,
be like, talk about everything with. What artist or person would you choose?
I think I'd go for a person. I think I'd probably go for somebody like Elon Musk, or someone
Oh,
who's
whoa, yeah,
someone who's just super
yeah,
intelligent, who
yeah.
knows stuff that I can't even comprehend. So I would, if I've got that much time, maybe we can break
You
it
have that
down
much time.
in a way that I can understand it. Yeah.
Ah, damn. Now, another thing for you is if you had an unlimited budget of money, right? What would you change in the music industry that you feel needs changing?
I think the main things would be around, kind of like marketing and promotion and stuff. Because what I realize is, and we have this issue ourselves, that we can make music every day that's good enough for the charts. It's better than 98% of what you'll hear on the radio. But us trying to get that into the hands of the right people is it's a very murky industry, and everybody's trying to sell you this. So I'll sell you a
Yeah,
playlist package, I'll sell you a radio, and everything's got ridiculous money. So I
yeah.
think what I would do is use my money to try and level the playing field a bit, because there's some whack people getting a lot of shine because there's money there, and there's some great people being completely overlooked because they've
I
not
say that
got.
all the time, and I think sometimes that upsets me, and I get really passionate about it.
Yeah.
Where I find that, like you just said, I was in publishing for a certain amount of years, and I loved it. But what I found is if you don't have the money behind you, you won't get anywhere, and I find that so sad.
Mm. But then on the
And
flip side, I do I feel like that, but I do feel there's also a way around it, like,
of course,
and
see, but
for
this is what I mean. I feel like you're a person who finds solutions to problems.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
And so for me, it's
no,
like, okay, so we can't do it. So for me, I'll just make the plan a little bit longer, and I'm prepared, I'm patient, and because I believe in where I'm going, I'm happy to put 5, 10, 15 years, whatever it is. And I know I'll get there. It's a weird thing as well, though, because if I would have got where I wanted to get in the time I wanted to get there, I wouldn't have
you
been
think you
ready.
would have been a different? Do you think you would have been a different person if it was given to you?
I think I probably this is like I would have probably ended up getting it too early and messing it up, like because I wasn't ready for it. Whereas like even now, like even 10 years into my journey, I'm still not quite ready for where I want to be. So I'm still learning a lot of stuff along the way and putting things in place,
Yeah,
because I suppose a lot of the time it was kind of me doing everything, doing the other than the music, doing the admin, doing the bid writing, doing the
yeah,
cleaning, the recruitment, the phone calls. So I was every job. So now it's kind of finally I'm getting into a position where I could give somebody a couple of days work doing admin, somebody else got an accountant who will do the
yeah,
accounts. So I feel like when we finally get there, I'll be in a position where I've got the people around me to look after the bits that
yeah.
that
That
are
need
not my
looking
specialists
after.
or I don't enjoy, so that I've got the
Yeah,
time to actually, I suppose, seize the opportunities that will come. So, and eventually,
okay.
it's build it and they will come. I think if you're consistently making noise for
Yeah,
long enough, people
yeah.
can't ignore you. They have to come in.
You will be heard. You
Yeah.
will be heard eventually. What makes your company or your studio, I should say, different from other record labels or studios? What
Uh,
would you say?
I think, to be honest, it's probably the ethos and the ethics behind
Yeah,
what we do. So, I've got uh, one of the businesses I'm part of is called HQ Can Create.
yeah,
So that's HQ Creative Arts Network, and that's a community interest company. So a lot of our people come to us through projects, so they're unemployed, or they've had maybe ex-offenders, or maybe they're
yeah. I've heard
suffering
that.
with some
Yeah,
kind of mental health problems, or anything like that. So I think basically like everything ties into each other. So the label is kind of like, I suppose, for the cream, like the best of the people we work with. So some of them have come through projects, some of them are just like people that we've happened to work with. Um, but I think that with us, we're not. I think it's probably because we're not money focused. So it's like for us, like I sign artists on a 2-year kind of development management deal, so
okay.
that like for 2 years I'll give them free studio time, free use of producers, vocal coaching. I'll just
That's
basically
really
try and
good.
develop them. We'll teach them about
Yeah.
branding, how to make EPKs and press releases. So what the idea is that within that 2 years we can make a load of music that in the first year, that maybe in the second year we can pitch to major labels or to
Yeah.
publishers. Also, I put a lot of events on to keep them active in the performances, and so they've always got a performance coming basically. And yeah, it's probably, I think it's just mainly down to, sorry, I waffle a bit, I do ramble.
No, no. You know the best thing about this podcast? When I was doing my research on podcasts and I was listening to so many different podcasts, and most of the time people were just talking about themselves, like the host was talking about themselves. Yeah, me. But then I wanted to do something where people get to speak and
Okay.
be their true self, their true authentic self. So anything that you're saying to me is not just to me, it's to hundreds or thousands of people that will listen and say, you know what, I want to do this, and his information is helping me. So you're not waffling at all. Everything you're saying is of goodness. So to me, that's a good thing.
That's cool, and
That's a good thing.
that's something else that I like to do, and that might be something else that is a little bit different about us. We don't kind of want to have all the knowledge and do it, and people don't know what we're doing. So
Yeah,
we tell people like every step of the way, this is what we're doing, this is the contract. We make everything black and white, so that say like after a year or 2 years they do like it don't work and they go their
yeah,
separate ways. At least they've got that knowledge, they've got a portfolio, and for us it's like I work with a lot of people as well, so I'm happy to lose a few people along the way. So
that's fair enough.
it's like I've got, I think, 9 artists at the minute, and some of them might come all the way to the top of the music industry with us and get Mobos and Grammys. Some of them might have a career in music. Some of them might just end up moving away, and we lose contact. So it's,
I
but
think it's one of those things. Yeah,
yeah, but they'll all get the same chance to flourish. They'll all get the same use of the resources and the guidance and stuff. And yeah, but the overall aim is still to go to the top. So
yeah,
the vision is to be as big as we can be. Like, so the community interest side, at the minute we do like small projects for say 10 people at a time. Eventually we would probably want like a HQ center of excellence, where we're doing everything in house and the filming and just trying to. I suppose the bigger you get, the more people you can help. So
that's true.
we started off
Yeah,
working with 4 people at a time. Now we can work with 10 or 12. So I suppose it's just about growing it to be as big as it can, and like I say, trying to give that inspiration and aspiration, just not
yeah.
necessarily to get to the top, but get to as
A good
far as you
level.
can get.
You can go. Yeah,
Yeah. So
makes
again, and
sense.
my thing is like, if you aim for the stars and you don't hit them, you're going to at least get to the sky. Whereas,
Yeah,
so aim as high as possible, and you're going to get further than
I
where
like
you would
that.
have done.
I like that, definitely. So which kind of leads me on to my next question. What does success mean to you? And define what the word success means. So everyone has a definition of what success is or what it means to them. What does it mean to you and your company and the people you work with?
I think success really means it's basically freedom combined with, I suppose, I can't think of the word. Not where you're sustained, but where you're, like you don't want for nothing. So
It's kind of like being financially free in a way.
yeah,
I think.
like financially secure, I
Kind
suppose.
of, yeah.
So it's,
Security.
I think, especially in the music, I think success is basically where you're happy, because if you're not happy, you're not successful. So
That's
happiness
true.
is always
Comes
my
first.
number one, I suppose,
Yep,
gauge of success.
that's true.
But then after that, I think it's, the freedom. It's to be able to, I suppose, just to work on your dream or your
Yep.
music without
Mhm.
any fear of, it being taken away or having to do
Yeah.
a job or something. So just being
Yeah.
able to do what you love
That
and
makes
like
total
earn
sense.
from it and be happy is success to me.
Oh, that's really good. What's the one memory that you have so far? The one best memory that you have so far? If you could combine everything together, what's the one memory that you would say you carry with you every day?
I think, to be honest, again, there's quite a lot because it's been a crazy journey. But I think it's probably that it's two and it's kind of combined. So when I won the Prince's Trust Mentor of the Year, like, there was a lot of things that were amazing about that. Firstly, that I was even nominated, but then it went to like a public vote on Good Morning Britain, And then I found out live on Good Morning Britain. So they told me to come in for a tour, and then when I went in, I basically ended up on live on Good Morning Britain for like 7 minutes, which was crazy. Like it was so early as well. I was quite tired. It was quite surreal. But just from like seeing that, like watching that every morning, I go downstairs
Yeah.
and my missus is watching Good Morning Britain. So to just like
Aw.
walk out onto the set was a memory. But
How
then
did she feel when she saw you?
she
Oh,
was
man.
she went crazy. Like her and my son were like watching it, and she shared it all over Facebook and stuff. I think she said she even cried. I think she was so like kind of
Oh,
happy and excited. It was got a big thing, and it's obviously that led on to me going to the Royal Albert Hall and
yeah,
meeting
I saw
Prince
that.
Charles,
Yeah.
which is kind of the second part of the memory. It's kind of all molded into one memory, to be honest. Because
I
it's all
think it's a
part of the
meant to
same
be
thing.
memory. Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
a meant to be kind of thing. Was there ever a time where you said to yourself that you wanted to give up because of lack of money, lack of funds, lack of support? I know you'll get to a place sometimes where we feel quite stuck and we feel stagnant.
Yeah.
Was there ever a time that you ever felt like that? And how did you pull yourself out of it?
Again, to be honest, it's happened a few times. So
Yeah.
when I first started 10 years ago, I started with like a group of people that were my friends, and
Okay.
sometimes that works, and sometimes friends and business can be a bit of a nightmare,
Yep.
because we had the studio first, but then we also got a nightclub. So we were trying to
Oh,
run
okay.
a nightclub, and we was trying to run a studio, and we was trying to kind of all do our own normal stuff as well. And we basically the pressure of that kind of in the end when we left the nightclub, we basically kind of left the company. So I kind of went from being in a company of five to being on my own, and kind of with this big this big building and this like big projects, like, so it was a bit of a weight on my shoulders. It's like, well, it's just me now. So I was close to giving up then, to be honest, but then I decided just to, like, the business was in a really bad position as well at that time. Like, it was in quite a lot of debt, and it just weren't going well. So I kind of had two choices. It was like I either let the business go and cut my losses,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
I put my last bit of my own personal money in, clear all the
Yeah.
debts, and try and rebuild it. So I decided to go with that, and then I ended up getting a new team, and it's like now we're in a better position than we've ever been. So I'm glad I
Yeah.
didn't give up. It
Well,
was touch
see,
and go.
yeah. Sometimes no, but sometimes life is a challenge for you. It
Mm.
kind of tests you in the best of ways. So, why do you want Leicester to be on a map? Why is it so important for you to have Leicester on a map?
Well, for me, I'm Leicester born and bred, so this is
I can
this.
see you support the Leicester football team as well.
Yeah, like I say,
I think I saw it there.
I'm Leicester born and bred. So if you're Leicester born and bred and you don't support Leicester, then
No, that makes sense.
I'll blame your
That
dad
makes
first
sense.
and foremost. But still, like, support Leicester. This is where you're from. At least there's one of your teams. Um,
Yeah.
just because, I love my city. I love the people. And I feel like we've been overlooked a lot in Leicester. I feel like because of kind of where we are, and because there's other cities like Manchester and Birmingham, and places that are just got that bigger reputation and a bigger scene and a bit more
Yeah.
infrastructure, that
Yeah.
Leicester's just got overlooked for a long time. So, and I think for me, like, once I decided where I want to go, I kind of feel like, okay, I could move to London and try and do it in London. But then
Yeah.
that's kind of, I don't know, I kind of feel like I'd be then turning my back on my own city. So I feel like I'd
Yeah.
rather spend longer trying to make something happen in Leicester than move into somewhat a bigger city just for an easier ride. You know what I mean?
Do you feel that you would have had more of a competition if you decided to be based in London because you wouldn't necessarily be representing Leicester?
Yeah, probably. I think there would be more competition, obviously, because there's more people. But then on the flip side, it's a weird one because there's a lot more competition, but there's a lot more opportunity. And I think even when you get into like the world of funding and stuff, you're a lot more likely to be able to draw in funding and investment when you're in
Yeah.
London than you are in one of the smaller cities, because it's like, if you're not in London, people don't really look at you as music business, or you
Yeah.
know what I mean. So
I find it bad. Yeah.
yeah. So I kind of just always thought, like, why are people leaving Leicester to go anywhere. Like, let's make Leicester somewhere big enough that people want to travel to us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Well, that
that's
makes sense.
actually starting to happen now. Like, we've got clients who have travelled from London and Manchester, Birmingham, Liverpool. Well, we've even had, to be fair, a couple of clients who have even like flown over from France. I had a client from Hungary. So it's getting there now, because I think people know that I think we're bringing something different to the table, and we've got a different sound, and we work a different way. So it's a good time for Leicester at the minute. Things are definitely bubbling.
Keep your fingers crossed for you guys as well.
Yeah, it's all coming. Don't worry.
Give it time. It's just patience. All it is everything with
100%.
time is just patience. If you want it bad enough, it will come to you. And especially it comes at the right time. You think to yourself, "Oh no, it's not coming," and then before you know it, boom, it's all right in front of you.
Well, my
No,
thing, I started visioning like this journey, say 10 years ago. So I made the decision 30 to 40 that I would try and establish myself, so make sure that by the time I'm 40, people know who I am. I know that I'm known for something, whatever it is, and that I put myself into a position where I can then make money and kind of fulfill the second half of the vision, 40 to 50. So, and I've done that. That first 10 years has put us in a great position now. So now this was the year 2020, kind of where we get serious, and with, I suppose just like leveling up, even down to joining, I suppose, like the Music Managers Forum and Association of Independent Music, and, specifically trying to seek out the right publishers or the right sync agents, and, just trying to look at it a bit more now businessy. So, because now we've got the facility and we've got the artists and we've got the rep. Now it's okay. Now this next decade, it's about. So in 10 years, when we have the follow-up podcast, the Yasin.
Oh, what? He's invited me already.
I'll put it out there from earlier. So by then, we want to be in a position where we've got Mobos and Grammys and Brits.
Most definitely.
And
well, hopefully by then I'm able to come out to you guys and actually sit down with yourself and a group of your artists.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Have a conversation, which would be excellent.
Yeah,
that'd be a really good podcast. Yeah, see, he's invited us, guys.
You can do it. You can even vlog that one, stick it on Twitch, whatever you want.
True. Yeah, he's given us the invitation. My next question for you is, how important is it for not just yourself, but for your artists to understand the music business? The reason why I'm saying this is because a lot of artists are sowing the hype of the TV and the fame of the music business. But for myself, especially because I worked in publishing for so long, I believe that it's good for artists to understand what music publishing is and what it does and how it can affect you, MCPS, PRS. I know they've changed it now, but for me, royalties is like having the crown jewels. That can make you give you security forever, basically, because you have that and your songs are frequently being played. How do you feel about artists not just knowing about being creative, but also knowing about the music business behind and music publishing?
I think it's really important, and like I say, with the way that we work with artists, we want to empower them with that knowledge so that they understand that, the contracts that they're signing, and about the copyright and who owns which bits, and and also we've been offered quite a few publishing deals that we've turned down just because they weren't quite right, and it's somebody trying to take 50% for not necessarily doing anything, and it's like, kind of like, even though a lot of the time the artists want to do it because all they can see is, okay, someone's offered me a deal, but we're like, but at the end of the day, this is your retirement fund. Like,
this is for life.
Is
for life.
Don't be selling off. Don't be selling off your music to the first person who tries to take it. So because I started the record label 3 years ago, and we've not worked with any publishers or anything yet. But again, we still own that catalog, so it's, and again, we don't. And to be honest, a lot of the time as well, the artists want the deal before they're ready for it as well anyway.
That's true.
So I'm like, look, don't worry about the publishing deal. Don't worry about the money for now. Let's just think on getting as much songs made as possible. So, because my plan is I want to have enough songs to release, but then also to be pitching for publishing, also to be potentially selling on to other artists, whatever. So we try and teach them the whole business side, and we're learning it ourselves, to be honest, as we go. So it's like we're learning it, teaching it them, and some are more receptive than others. You know, some artists really want to learn every part and they take it all on. And I like literally, I'll go to the levels. I'll give them all the resources that I've got. I'll make available to them. You know, so we have a shared group, and I'll put in, this is what Facebook and Instagram are saying is the best practice. This is about publishing. This is about
Yeah.
copyright. This is a PRS presentation, and yeah, some are so creative they'll just go over their head, and that, you know what, they'll be like, you know what, I don't care about the business side. You deal with that for me, yes. And I'm like, well, okay, that's fine. You know what I mean? And you're supposed to stick to your strengths. You know what I mean? You can lead a horse to water, they say, innit?
But you can't make it drink
That's
it.
it. So we give it them, but yeah, how much they take on is down to them. But I think,
Do you think that publishing is something that you would possibly go into yourself, like have a publishing side too? Because I know you got the record label side and you got a studio. Would you feel like connecting a publishing to it maybe in the future when your company gets even bigger?
yeah, 100%. One of the actual future plans is to do that. So, and to be honest, this whole lockdown has actually made this come a little bit sooner. So because basically, like I say, because I weren't feeling the publishing deals that I've been offered, I started looking at ways of going direct to people. You know, so like direct to BT Music or whoever it is. And I know it's hard, but I'm thinking, well, there is a way. You know what I mean? So at the minute, I'm kind of adding another arm of the business, which is going to be based around publishing and sync and stuff. So, because especially in urban music, we've realised there's a lot of people, there's a lot of TV struggling to get licensed music. You know, because a lot of people are just making music in the bedroom and they're not putting it on PRS and PPL and all that stuff. So then BBC will find the music they want, but they can't use it. So we're basically gonna I've already started. I've got the first batch of tracks ready to register and stuff. So we're gonna kind of specialize in trap, drill, grime, hip hop. You know, kind of like urban stuff. Because I've got like 8 producers and like 10 Macs, and you know, so it makes sense that they can make all this music, and then because they're always making beats anyway and making music. So it's like, well, make it. I'll license it from you so that it's all, you know, it's all properly PRS'd and PPL, and then if it gets taken, you'll get a nice little commission check, and you'll get your performance royalties.
How is it for you working with so many artists at one time? Like, describe your day, because it sounds hectic anyways, but describe how your day is.
I'll be honest, no 2 days are ever the same.
And he's gonna say that.
It's a weird one, because like I say, I've got 9 artists, but then I've also got 5 or 6 sound engineers, and I've got, like, my whole collective is about 20 strong. So I'm kind of like the middleman between the whole 20 people. So, but it's weird because it just depends what's going on, you know. So sometimes there's loads going on, and I'm just like, literally my day is just emails and phone calls. And then sometimes it's like we're at the studio and it's just like a little bit more focused. I might be focusing on a couple of different projects. So it's a lot, but I've got people under me that help as well, you know. So I've got, like, how I do it at HQ Familia is like also like a management company. So I've got 3 or 4 people that will help. So I've got like I've got Zach who will do like all the mixing and mastering. I've got someone else who will do like the admin side and stuff, and then I've got someone else who does the social media side, you know. So although it's a lot, I think it's good because you never got time to get bored of anything, because it's just like,
that's true.
It's just there's so much going on. The hardest thing is actually just keeping up with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that makes total sense. How do you push your artists? How do you actually push them, especially if they're having a bad day? So what would you say to them to uplift them?
So usually I use a lot of the stuff that helps me, and a lot of that again comes to mindset and like the power of language. You know, like I'm quite into like the law of attraction, and I'm big on energy and stuff like that. You know, so basically I will kind of reuse some of the stuff that works for me. And it depends how deep someone is, you know. Sometimes they might just need a little pep talk, you know. If they really like, maybe I'll tell them something that they didn't know yet, you know, maybe about a future opportunity that's about to You know what I mean? Because
Arise.
usually I
Yeah.
don't tell anybody anything until the ink's dry, you know, in case something's
Yeah, you're like me.
promised and it
You
don't
never,
happen.
yeah.
You know?
I'm very big on energy and how things are said and how I connect with people. I think that's important for me.
Yeah,
And I
definitely.
think, yeah, I think how someone is towards me with their energy alone. Sometimes somebody doesn't even have to speak to me, but I can just feel it. And I think that's big within any industry that you're going to or any person that you're talking to as well. And it's nice to know that you give that to your artists and your sound engineers and anybody that you're working with.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of companies need to understand that in order for you to develop, not just as a person, but as a leader, not just a boss, but a leader, you need to have that kind of understanding of maybe even spiritually, you need to have that understanding to help you progress. No, that makes sense.
Well, yeah, and I think the other side of it is, you know, like for my own peace of mind and well-being, I want to be around people that kind of that enhance my dream and my energy. You know, so
Yeah,
it's like obviously people have bad days and that's fine, and people have ups and
fair
downs,
enough.
which is fine.
Yeah,
You know, but on the flip
yeah,
side, I only will have people around me that will A, believe in my energy and my vision and
yeah,
what I'm doing, but B, they want to actively be a part of it and put into it, you know, so they
yeah,
believe it, they want to emulate it, and you know, and then that's like we're all on the same vibe and we're all on the same wavelength. And I suppose that's giving it even more power and energy because we're all collectively, you know, like looking like, yeah, we're going to the top, we're doing this,
yeah,
and it's infectious. You know, positive energy is infectious, same as negative is, you know, so.
yeah.
Like generally, I don't have no bad mind people around me, or you know, no
You don't
people.
need them.
No, I don't
You do
need
not
them.
need them.
And I've had big people who could have potentially made me a lot of money that I just won't. I just won't work with because
Yeah,
I know the money is going to come down the line, so I don't need to compromise. And even if it didn't, you know, rather than compromising my own self-respect or my own beliefs, you know, like
yeah,
I'm gonna crack on. I want everything around me to be as happy, as positive, and as comfortable as absolutely possible.
yeah. If the people were around you, so if I came into your studio and you had your full team of 20 people around you, and I said to each of them to describe you in one word, yeah, what do you think the main one word would be to describe you as a person?
From them.
Yeah, from them. I bet you're gonna ask them after this as well.
I'm gonna have to, aren't I?
I bet you're gonna ask them as well. Because obviously you are you. Yeah. And you have your own perception of who you are, of yourself. But then when other people are out of the box and they're looking at you as a leader, a boss, a friend, what do you think they would say, Savia? This is what I think of Yasin. In one word.
That's a hard one with one word.
Ah,
I'll probably go with inspiring because I know I do.
inspiring?
Yeah, I'll go
No,
with
that's a good one.
inspiring because I know
No,
I
that's a good
inspire.
one.
That's what everything I do is to try and inspire them to be the best they can be, you know, and believe in themselves. I suppose as much as I believe in them, because a lot of the time
Yeah.
I've got more belief in them than they have, you know. So
Yeah. Which is
um,
not a bad thing. Yeah.
no, and I think especially because a lot of them are young as well, you know, like the team rangers, like the youngest person in the collective is 17, you know, and then I'm
Oh
40, you know,
wow.
so it's
Yeah.
quite a big mix, you know, of different ages, you know, and there's
Yeah.
yeah, we're with people from all around the world, and there's different ages, there's different sexes, you know, like it's a really mishmash collective, but it works, you know what I mean? Because it's multi-genre as well, so
So when I come over to you in 10 years' time and we're ready to do another podcast again, I'm gonna remind you of that particular question.
okay.
Yeah. And I'm gonna see what the guys say, the guys and the ladies say, to see what they say. No, that's perfect. Um, if there was some advice that you could give to your fans and your followers about being positive, which I'm sure you've done most of that already today, just on the podcast, about the music business or just for themselves, what would you say to them to help inspire them like you do? And also, what would you say to people out there to let them know who you are as a person that you've never said in an interview before?
So I think the advice I would give is is basically be patient first and foremost. You know, don't try and set a goal that's too time bound because you're probably not going to hit it.
Yeah.
We talk about 10,000 hours or 10 years. a lot of the time in the music business, of maybe how long you might actually have to put in until you're ready to be able to leave your full-time job or your actual your income, what's actually paying you to live. So patience is always something I talk to everyone about. And then I think another good bit of advice I tell people is kind of fake it till you make it, So if you tell yourself you're great in the morning and you don't believe it, maybe if you say that every single day, maybe after the 60th time, it starts clicking and you start believing it, So I think, self-belief and, giving yourself time to grow into the actual what it is you want to be. And then I suppose me as a person, I don't know. That's a really hard one.
I find that people always find it hard to talk about themselves, especially when it's in like a positive way, or if someone's giving them a compliment about what they do. I find it they either go really shy or
it's a weird thing.
It's a weird thing. So tell us something about you that you don't normally say on an interview or a podcast that will help people to get closer to who you are.
I'll tell you what I probably don't usually say is that although like the music, this whole thing is my life, actually it's my kids that's more important, So like the only thing that I will put before my business is my kids, So I will, if I have to, I will lose opportunities, I will miss events, So like no matter how passionate I am about the music, first and foremost, I'm dad, you know what I mean? And that's my priority.
It's nice. That's nice. I like that one. And of course, this is your time to plug it, okay? You ready?
I'm ready.
Tell me all your social medias, where we can find you. Go for it.
Okay, so the studio and the label all goes under @HQ Recording. So that's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. The website is @HQ Recording as well, www.hqrecording.co.uk. My own socials are Yasin El Ashrafi or Yasin _HQ. And that's it. Yeah, we've got a website as well for HQ Can, which is hqcan.org. And that is for the funding side, the projects we do. And that's it. Get us everywhere.
I like that. Yasin, I want to thank you so much for coming on the Ask People podcast. You've been a great guest.
Thank you.
You have been literally a great guest.
You've been a great host.
Oh, thanks. Hey guys, I want to say thank you for listening to the Ask People podcast today. And please, as always, please subscribe on Spotify, Google Play. We're literally everywhere. And as always, like I always say, please take care of yourself. Stay kind, stay positive, stay happy, and stay kind to one another.